Hello everyone, myself Dr. Sandhya Tapadia. I welcome you for the third video in the series on learning R software. The first two videos on the basics of R were posted by Dr. Yogita. I hope you found them useful. I would like to introduce you with the data frames in R. Before actually starting with the data frames, let me first revise some part which is needed for this video. Let me share the screen with you first. Okay. As you are aware, there are two ways of working in R. First, using the console, and second, using the script, or we can say R code, written in the source window. Both these alternatives have their own pros and cons. In console, one can see the results of the commands then and there itself, but our work will be forgotten once we end the session. While when we enter commands in the script editor, that is source window, it could be saved and accessed whenever needed at any point of time. So first of all, let's create a script file, say data frame 1. So as you can see here, uh, I'll save this untitled file in the source window as data frame 1 in a folder R which I have created on my desktop. So here I will create this file data frame 1.r. So whatever work we will be doing today, we will be saving it in data frame 1r, 1.r, and that folder R on the desktop will work as my working directory. Okay. So, but as I said, let me put up a question before you. Okay. What is data frame in R? Okay. So today's session, we are going to cover these topics, the data frames in R. Well, basically, what is a data frame in R? Then how to create a data frame, what could be done with the data frames in R, means what kind of operations we can perform, how we can use them, and then how we can save the data frame into a CSV file, or is there any way to import data from a CSV file to our data frame and then work on them. So this is the outline of today's lecture. So on these points we are going to discuss today. So first of all, what is a data frame? So data frame is basically a table or a two-dimensional array. Okay. Here, every column contains value of one variable and every row will consist of elements taken from each column. Okay. So the data frame in R will have some specific characteristics. It should satisfy some specific characteristics like the column names should be non-empty or row names should be unique. The data stored could be numeric or factor or character type. Okay, so the data stored could be numeric, factor, or character type, a combination of all of them. Then every column must contain some number of data items, and so on. So we can say that basically data frames are very similar to the spreadsheets in the Excel. In fact, they are similar to matrices as well. But the basic difference is matrices can either have the characters or numeric values in it. But data frames can have both numeric as well as character values. Because the data frames are more flexible, most real-world datasets, such as surveys containing both numeric and character data, will be stored as data frames in R. So let's start with creating a data frame. So I have opened the R Studio, and here we have already created a file called dataframe1 dot R in the source window. So now we need some equal length vectors to create the data frame. Okay, so let me uh, create a data frame on the results of recent Tokyo Olympics. Okay, so let me write my first vector as countries. uh, have taken a vector name whose elements are USA, China, India, let me have South Africa, and Malaysia. Okay, so as you are aware, I can put a control enter so that you can see the execution of the commands in the console as well. If I type here countries in the console, you would be able to see the vector having the elements USA, China, India, South Africa, and Malaysia. Okay, so let me go back to my script. So the first vector was countries. Let the second vector be the ranks. Obviously, they are decided by the number of medals each country has won in the Olympics. USA being the top in the chart, China is second, India is 48, South Africa 52, and Malaysia, I think, 74. Then I'll just go on adding the commands over here. I'm not executing them right now because they won't look much different than whatever countries, the vector countries you can see over here. So let me just create some vectors in the data frame, and then as a whole, we would look uh, at the data frame one. Okay, so let this vector gold be giving you the number of gold medals won by every country. So 39, 38, 1, 1, 0. Then we have the silver medals. I'll show you the execution of all these commands together because you know that in the last lecture also this has been covered. Whichever part we need to execute from the script, we can execute. Uh, See here it's showing some error. This red dot appeared because I forgot to write C because I'm creating the vector. So 41, 32, 2, 2, 1, I suppose. Yes. And last, probably the number of bronze medals. Uh, let them be 33, 18, 4, 0, and 1. Okay. So now, if you can see over here, I had taken 5 countries. So length of the vector countries is 5. Similarly, length of the vectors ranks, gold, silver, bronze, all of them are 5. So I have created equal length vectors. All right. And let me save them. And let me run also. So you can appear in the environment tab, the variable or the vector names have appeared with the values in them. Okay, now let's create the data frame. Let me call the data frame to be Olympics. You remember, check this command. The command is data.frame. Okay, data.frame. In bracket, you need to give names of the vectors in the sequence which you want them. Okay, so you can have ranks first and countries later, or you can have countries first, rank later. Okay, so let me put ranks first, then countries, and then the number of medals: gold, silver, and bronze. Okay, so this data frame, whether it has got created or not, that we need to check. So let me first save it and run it in the source. So here, this data frame 1.r, you can observe, see Olympics, the data frame, 5 observations of 5 variables. Okay, 5 variables are countries, ranks, gold, silver, bronze. They are the 5 observations. Sorry, these are the 5 variables, and each is having 5 observations. And let's write the command view Olympics, because I want to view the data frame. Remember, in this view command, V is capital. So these commands are case sensitive. So remember that. If I run this, see, here you can see that the data frame called Olympics have been created with the first column ranks, second column countries, then third column number of gold medals, silver medals, and bronze medals, the way which uh, we wanted. So how to create a data frame? The question has been answered. So we created a data frame. Now the next question is, what could be done with the data frame? Isn't it? So now the next calculations or the next commands or whatever work is required, I'll be doing it on the console, because it's easy for me to show it on the console, because I want to show you the changes then and there itself. And probably if needed, I'll save them in the data1.r frame later on. Okay, so let me work on the console now. So let me once again give the command view Olympics. Let me check what it shows. Yes, it's showing me the data frame. Now suppose I want to add a column of total medals which are achieved. Okay, so for that, uh, let's create a kind of function, I can say. So I'm calling that function to be total. I want to add entries in the column gold, silver, and bronze from the Olympics data frame. So I would be writing the name of Olympics, the data frame, name of the data frame first, then put a $sign, and then whichever column I want, I would choose that. Then plus, once again, Olympics, dollar, silver, plus bronze. So I created that function called total, and I need to add this column to the data frame. So let me create a column in the data frame called total. Let me write it as total medals. Okay, and takes the value from this function total. All right, let me put a enter over here. And again, yes, if you can see, the once I gave this command, the last column called total medals have been added with the total of medals in the column gold, silver, and bronze. So USA 113 medals, China won 88, India won 7. Uh, South Africa got 3 medals and Malaysia got only 2. We can do some more operations as well. Like we can find um, a rate of ratio of gold medals with the total medals. So let me, uh, in fact, there is one more way. Here we used uh, two commands. One was I first defined the function total, and then according to that I created the column. So here in this command I can probably use it in combination. I mean, I can give only a single command to add a column with a particular formula. Okay, so let me create a column called, say, Olympics dollar. Let me call it as ratio. Let's call it as G ratio because I'm taking the ratio with ratio of the gold medals with the total medals. And how the ratio is written. So the ratio is, again, take column gold divided by take the column total medals. Press enter. You can see that column called G ratio has been added to our data frame. Now you can see over here there are these values are up to 7 decimals. If I don't want these many decimals in my table, because I may find it clumsy to deal with, I can restrict this to the number of digits. Like, say, let me give the command by using the command options. Okay, options, where the number of digits which I want is equal to, say, only 5. So if I give this command and if I view the data frame Olympics, see what I get. Can you observe that? Now this G ratio has gone down to only 4 decimal places. Let's check what happens if I put here digits equal to 3 only. Okay, if I put digits equal to 3 only, see what happens is. So I've got only 3 decimal places and these digits won't. If I put 2 digits, check what happens. Now I got the ratio in 2 decimal places. And likewise, you can restrict your answers to whatever decimal places you want. Okay, so I want right now at least 3 digits, so I'll keep it 3 digits only. Okay, so this nice what we can say a function is provided by the R. Now we can actually plot some graphs here. So let me plot a graph of, say, Olympics dollar countries versus Olympics. Here, in fact, I need not write Olympics because I'm talking about the same data frame. So just by separating the comma, I can uh, write the total medals. The saying total medals is not So let me put the command Olympics and put a dollar over there. Till it's saying what happened, why it is not taking. Oh, I made a mistake because what is the mistake? Can anyone find out? The mistake is my data frame is Olympics with capital O, but here I'm using small o. So that is the issue. So let me make that correction over here. Olympics countries, and then let me write total marks. Not total marks, sorry, medals. What could be an issue? Yes, so I need to put that Olympics over here as well, if you can see. Now, if you can observe that when we try to plot the graph, see, I deliberately did these kind of mistakes over here because these are very common mistakes. In a flow, we go on uh, writing the commands and then we don't get the output. So we need to uh, probably understand the proper syntax of giving the commands. Now here you can observe the graph like that. Okay, so this is not actually a plot because for plotting the graph, uh, both x and y could be numeric, and then it's probably better to generate a graph. But this also can represent the data quite nicely, means USA being the topmost or the first ranker, then comes the China with say around in between 80 to 90 medals. Then India, South Africa, and Malaysia, you can say. Now let me try to plot the graph of total medals versus uh, number of golds, or let's have number of silver medals. Olympics, dollar, silver. So since I just gave the command plot, the points have been plotted and they have not joined by the line segments. You know that for the line segments joining them, we need to add some extra command called as type equal to L. So if I give this, you can see that the graph turned out to be a straight line. And then you can explore various things related to the plotting of the data frame. Okay. So here we could see that uh, given the data frame, we could add columns to the data frame. We could plot the graphs. We could restrict the decimal places in the numbers. So this much we could do. There is one more thing which we can do here. We can find out or mean or median of every column. So let me write the command, say mean of Olympics dollar let me write it for, say, gold. So what is the mean of gold? It has come out to be 15.8. And we can actually check whether it is right or wrong by evaluating 39 plus 38 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0 divided by 5. So it came out to be 15.8 only. Similarly, we can find out median. For the median, we can use the formula, just the word median. In the brackets, we need to write the required column. So let me find out the median of this. And you can see that median turned out to be 1. In fact, there is one more command called summary. Summary of the data frame. So if you give summary, it gives you the entire data related to the summary of the data frame. Say for example, if it is rank, minimum rank over here is 1 and maximum value is 74, which is given. This first QU means it is Q1, first quartile deviation. Then you have median, then mean, and third quartile deviation. So Q1, median, mean, Q3 are calculated for every column. Now, obviously, you can see for the country's name, everything would be just 1 because they are not numerical values, they are characters. So we didn't get anything. For the column related to the golds, we can see that minimum value is 0, maximum is 39, uh, median is 1, mean is 15.8, and Q1, Q3 are also calculated. Similar is the case for the remaining columns. So this is very useful command called summary. So let me once again go back to the outline of our today's class. So far what we have done, what is data frame we know, how to create a data frame we know now. What could be done with a data frame that we have seen, that means we can add columns, we can take their mean, median, whatever. And now comes the next part, how to save a data frame into a CSV file that we need to check out. Okay, so let me go here and type the command for creating a CSV file. So see, the very nice feature of our R Studio or R software is it uh, automatically completes the function names, isn't it? Or the command names. It gives us immediately the options which we want. So so it saves a lot of efforts in actually typing each and everything, but we can just choose from the options which we have. Okay. So let me create the CSV file uh, from this data frame Olympics. And let me call that CSV file as, say, Olympics one dot CSV. Okay. Now, if I create this file, you can see that this immediately Olympics 1.csv file has been created. Okay, let me open it and show it to you. How does that file looks? What happened? Okay, let me check where that file is. So in the documents, this file had got saved by default. So let me open it. See, can observe the same data file has got created. Okay. Now with an additional thing. What is the additional thing over here? Here, the row numbers have also been added to this file. Okay. So that is the difference which you can see over here. Now let me give one more command over here so that I get rid of those numbers. So write CSV Olympics, and here if I don't want the row names, I can write the command row dot names equal to false. That means I don't want I want my file to be just as it is, which I can see in this data frame folder without the names of the rows. All right. And now say probably if I put an enter over here, let me go back to the CSV file where it was saved. So let me check whether the change has been updated. Yes, if you can see over here, that column or the row names have now disappeared. Okay, now, so now we could create a CSV file, right? Now I want to go other way around. Means if I make some changes in this CSV file created, whether these changes reflect in my Olympics data frame. Okay, so can I do that? So that is what I want to check. So let me add one more country. Let's add Japan over here with number of golds to be say 27, silvers 14, then 17, and then 58. The total numbers is 58. I'm not calculating this G ratio right now. I would just keep it as it is. Suppose I wanted to add now this new row to my data frame. So now what happens? So I should save this first of all. So it keeps on asking, do you want to keep, you want to use the same format and all the standard instructions it asks. Okay. So, but let me check whether this could get updated over here. So let me import my data set. So what we have to do is now I want to import that file over here into the R data frame. So if I try to import it, so I chose it from the text base, and that file has been uh, saved over here. So let me have this Olympics file and let me open it over here. Let's see how does it look. See, can you observe that? Now here in this uh, source window, you can see the Olympics 1 uh, CSV file has got imported. All right. So I got this new data frame Olympics 1 over here, and I can now do whatever I want to do with this file over here. So in the console, you can see these are the commands directly taken by, these are the underlying commands which the R Studio software runs. Okay. So here now, obviously, whether my mm, obviously here my data frame has changed to now Olympics 1 because I stored it as Olympics 1, the CSV file. Now I want to check the summary of this Olympics 1 file, and let me check what do I get. See here, obviously, okay, let me make this thing a little bit. Okay, now you can compare the summary of Olympic with Olympics 1, because here one more country got added, Japan. Because of that, the the mean, median, minimum value, maximum value have not changed, but at least mean, median have been changed. So you can check out the difference over here. See, the as far as ranks are concerned, rank mean of the ranks is 35.4 in Olympics, but in Olympics 1 it is 30. Median is 48 over there. Here the median is 25.5. And similar changes you can observe for the remaining columns in the table. Okay, so we could actually check how we could uh, change our or alter the data frame, and what are the corresponding changes which we could observe. Okay, now in R there are several data frames which are readily available. Okay, and we can access those data frames for the sake of checking the commands. So for that we need to enter the command called data. So if I enter the command just data and press and enter, see, all the data frames which are readily available in R could be observed. And there are some of the data frames are very interesting. Say, if the first one, if I check passengers, is monthly airline passenger numbers between 1949 to 1960, then you can see the CO2 is carbon dioxide uptake in grass plants. Related to that, some data frame has been created. Then you have insect sprays, the effectiveness of insect sprays. And there are a lot. In fact, there is some data frame related to hair and eye color as well. Let me find out that also. So, very interesting data frames are readily available. I mean, you can just check them even for the fun as well. So, let me first start with that CO2 data frame. So let me write here view CO2 and press the enter. So you can see here this CO2 data frame. If I want to check the summary of this CO2 data frame, let me give the command. So obviously for the first three columns, that doesn't make much sense, but for the last two columns, since the data is numerical, I can look at the values of mean, median, first and third quartile, minimum and maximum value, and so on. So likewise, we can use or check the data frames in our data sets as well. As I said, there is this interesting data frame called hair and eye color of statistics students. So let me check out, or let me view that data set over here. So view hair. See, saved the efforts. See, so data of around how many students? See, around 32 entries are there. Uh, Hair color, eye color, then sex, and then frequency. That's how they have given the data frame. And then you can do a lot of interesting things. I mean, you can plot the graph, or you can As I said, you can check the summary, or you can and use that summary for some other calculations, and so on and so forth. All right. So with this, uh, we have covered the first part related to the data frames. Means uh, what are the data frames, creating data frame, different things that could be done with the data frame, like some basic things actually we have learned. In the next lecture, I will tell you about some more interesting features related to the data frame, like slicing the data frames, indexing, etc. And of course, how to save the data frame into CSV file, and importing the data from CSV file to our data frames that we have seen already. So with this, I can stop here. One more comment which I would like to mention is, in the spoken tutorial videos, you might have seen that in the import data set, there was some option like you can import the commands. Sorry, you can import the data from the web, but somehow with our versions which we have installed over here, uh, that feature is not available. But of course, for the advanced versions of RStudio, you can actually import the data from the internet and do the relevant work. All right. So with this, I will stop over here. Uh, Please let me know any difficulties you had, or any doubts which you have in understanding uh, this session. Uh, Also, give your important suggestions and comments related to the content and quality of the video. So thanks a lot. Uh, this is Sandhya Tapadia signing off, and have a nice learning of our software. Thank you.